Have you ever wondered why, even when you're eating healthy, you still wake up with aching legs, swollen joints, or that stubborn stiffness that just won't go away? You might be doing all the right things, staying active, enjoying your eggs for breakfast, keeping hydrated, but the pain lingers and you're left asking, what's going on? For many seniors, the answer isn't just about what you eat, but how you pair certain foods, especially eggs, with surprising culprits that could be silently fueling inflammation and leg pain. Stick with us until the end, because we're not just revealing the 6 foods you should never combine with eggs. We'll also share simple, delicious swaps to keep your mornings nourishing and your body strong, so you can move through life with the freedom you deserve. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video, you can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. 1. Processed meats, bacon, sausage, ham. For many older Americans, the aroma of sizzling bacon wafting through the kitchen in the morning is far more than just a signal that breakfast is ready. It's a deeply ingrained sensory experience tied to nostalgia, tradition, and comfort. For decades, a hearty plate of scrambled eggs paired with crispy bacon, savory sausage links, or a thick slice of ham might have been the cornerstone of your daily routine, a ritual that kick-started your mornings with satisfaction and familiarity. Perhaps it reminds you of family gatherings, weekend brunches, or simpler times when health concerns felt distant. But what if this cherished combination, so woven into the fabric of your life, is silently working against you? What if those very foods, processed meats like bacon, sausage, and ham, are fueling the nagging pain in your legs, the persistent swelling in your knees, and the stubborn stiffness in your joints that make even simple movements feel like a chore? Processed meats are a staple in many diets, but they come with a hidden cost, especially as we age. These foods are loaded with high levels of sodium, nitrates, artificial preservatives, and saturated fats, ingredients that, while enhancing flavor and shelf life, wreak havoc on the body over time. For years, we've known that these substances are tough on the cardiovascular system, clogging arteries and straining the heart. But their impact doesn't stop there. They are also potent triggers for systemic inflammation, a condition that becomes increasingly problematic for people over 60. As we grow older, our bodies naturally lose some of their efficiency at processing and eliminating these compounds. The liver and kidneys, once adept at filtering out toxins, slow down, leaving behind a buildup of inflammatory agents that circulate through the bloodstream and settle into vulnerable areas, like the joints and muscles of the lower body. This inflammation doesn't just happen in isolation. In the legs, knees, and feet, where circulation already tends to weaken with age due to reduced activity or vascular changes, the effects are amplified. The sodium in processed meats causes water retention, leading to swelling that presses against nerves and joints. Nitrates and preservatives, meanwhile, irritate tissues and provoke immune responses that manifest as redness, heat, and pain. Saturated fats contribute by promoting the production of pro-inflammatory molecules, creating a vicious cycle that keeps the body in a low-grade state of distress. Over time, this chronic inflammation erodes cartilage, stiffens tendons, and weakens muscles, turning what was once a minor ache into a persistent barrier to movement. Now, let's consider the eggs you've been pairing with those meats for years. On their own, eggs are a nutritional powerhouse, packed with protein, healthy fats, and essential vitamins like B12 and choline. For many, they're a guilt-free staple. But when combined with processed meats, the dynamic shifts. Eggs contain sulfur-based amino acids, such as methionine and cysteine, which are perfectly harmless in moderation. However, when these compounds interact with the nitrates and preservatives in bacon, sausage, or ham, they can contribute to a subtle but significant metabolic shift. This combination can elevate levels of uric acid in the bloodstream, a crystalline waste product that the kidneys struggle to clear efficiently as we age. High uric acid is a well-established culprit behind gout, a form of arthritis notorious for causing sudden, excruciating pain, redness, and swelling, often targeting the feet, ankles, and knees. You might not connect the dots right away. The symptoms, throbbing joints, a heavy feeling in your legs, or a flare-up of stiffness, might not hit until hours after breakfast, perhaps in the late morning or afternoon when you're trying to get up from a chair or climb a few stairs. You might chalk it up to just getting older, not realizing that your morning plate could be the trigger. And the consequences go beyond physical discomfort. This silent inflammation can sap your mobility, making it harder to walk to the mailbox, tend to your garden, or play with your grandkids. With reduced movement comes a higher risk of falls, a leading cause of injury among older adults. The pain and frustration can even take an emotional toll. Daily discomfort wears on your patience, dampens your mood, and chips away at the sense of independence you've worked so hard to maintain. But the story doesn't end with the meat and eggs. What about that seemingly innocent slice of toast, bagel, or biscuit you've been pairing with your meal for decades? These refined carbohydrates, often made from white flour stripped of fiber and nutrients, might be adding fuel to the inflammatory fire. When digested, they cause rapid spikes in blood sugar, prompting the body to release insulin and other hormones that, over time, exacerbate inflammation. Pair that with the saturated fats from the sausage or the sodium from the ham, and you've got a recipe for a metabolic storm that hits your joints hardest. Even that pat of butter or smear of jam you add for flavor contributes its share of saturated fats or sugars, compounding the problem bite by bite. Over months and years, this kind of diet doesn't just rob you of physical strength, it erodes the freedom to live life on your terms. The ability to move without wincing, to stand without support, to enjoy a walk without planning for pain. These are the quiet losses that creep in unnoticed until they're gone. So, the next time you're standing at the stove, listening to the bacon sizzle and eyeing that sausage link, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, is 5 minutes of smoky, salty satisfaction worth the hours, or even days, of flare-ups that might follow? Could swapping that strip of bacon for a handful of berries or that sausage patty for a slice of avocado give your body the break it's been silently begging for? Your joints, your legs, and your future self might just thank you. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 2. Refined carbohydrates, white bread, bagels, muffins. There's an undeniable allure to the simple pleasures of refined carbohydrates. The crisp, golden edges of a warm piece of toast slathered with butter, the chewy satisfaction of a freshly baked bagel, or the tender crumb of a muffin nestled beside a plate of fluffy scrambled eggs. For many, these foods transcend mere sustenance. They're woven into the fabric of daily life, evoking memories of cozy mornings, family breakfasts, or quiet moments of indulgence. They represent comfort, tradition, and a sense of home. Yet, as we age and our bodies evolve, it becomes increasingly vital to peel back the layers of nostalgia and examine these staples with a critical eye. What might feel like a harmless treat could be quietly undermining your health, particularly the strength and vitality of your legs, joints, and overall energy. Refined carbohydrates, such as white bread, bagels, and muffins, undergo extensive processing that strips away their natural fiber, vitamins, and minerals, leaving behind a starchy shell of their former selves. Unlike whole grains, which release energy slowly and steadily, these refined versions are rapidly broken down by the body into simple sugars. This swift transformation causes a dramatic spike in blood glucose levels, a roller coaster ride for your metabolism. In response, your immune system perceives this sugar surge as a potential threat, much like an invader breaching the gates. To counter it, the body dispatches inflammatory messengers, chemical signals designed to protect you. But this defense mechanism comes at a cost. Over time, these messengers don't just fade away. They accumulate, lingering in the system and eroding the delicate soft tissues that cushion your joints, particularly in weight-bearing regions like the knees, ankles, and feet. For seniors, this process is especially insidious. As we age, our circulatory and metabolic systems naturally slow, making it harder to manage these blood sugar fluctuations efficiently. What might have been a minor inconvenience in youth transforms into a persistent challenge in later years. The inflammation triggered by refined carbs doesn't simply flare up and subside. It festers, becoming chronic. This low-grade, simmering inflammation settles into the lower extremities, where it can manifest as stiffness, swelling, or a deep, nagging ache. Every step might feel heavier, each movement more labored, as though your legs are protesting the burden placed upon them. The energy you once took for granted drains away, replaced by fatigue that seems disproportionate to your activity. And for those already grappling with conditions like arthritis or weakened cartilage, the effects are amplified, turning a morning ritual into a subtle saboteur. Now, consider the classic pairing: eggs alongside your refined carbs. Eggs, with their rich profile of protein and healthy fats, are a nutritional powerhouse in their own right. But when combined with a slice of white bread or a bagel, the dynamic shifts. The dense, slow-digesting nature of eggs meets the rapid sugar release of refined carbs, creating a perfect storm in your gut. Digestion slows to a crawl as your body struggles to process this mismatched duo, leading to a buildup of inflammatory compounds in the intestines. From there, these compounds seep into the bloodstream, circulating throughout the body and often targeting the joints, those vulnerable hinges already weathered by time. The knees, in particular, bear the brunt, as they carry the weight of both your body and this dietary load. By midday, you might notice a creeping stiffness in your legs. By evening, your feet may swell, the skin taut and tender to the touch. It's a sobering thought. That innocent slice of fluffy white toast or that perfectly round bagel could be the hidden culprit behind the pain that greets you each morning. The discomfort you attribute to just getting older might not be inevitable. It could be a signal from your body, pleading for a change. The swelling in your ankles, the creak in your knees, the exhaustion that settles into your bones, all might be traced back to what's on your plate. And if refined carbs are laying this groundwork of harm, what happens when you add another layer of complexity, like that irresistible blanket of melted cheese draped over your eggs? That creamy, savory addition might seem like the finishing touch to a perfect meal, but it could be tipping the scales from indulgence to inflammation. Before you reach for the grater, it's worth pausing to consider whether that sprinkle is worth the cost to your body's delicate balance. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 3. Cheese, especially processed or melted cheese. There's an almost universal appeal to the rich, creamy allure of cheese, particularly when it's melted into a warm, golden blanket over a fluffy omelet or stirred into a pile of perfectly scrambled eggs. The way it stretches and clings, offering that satisfying pull with every bite, can feel like a small indulgence, a reward to start the day. For many older adults, cheese holds a special place in the heart, a comfort food tied to memories of family breakfasts, cozy dinners, or even simpler times when food felt like a source of joy rather than a potential adversary. Its velvety texture and familiar tang can evoke nostalgia, making it a staple that's hard to resist. But beneath this innocent facade lies a troubling reality. That same cheese, especially in its processed or melted forms, could be quietly sabotaging your health, contributing to the very pain, stiffness, and discomfort that plague your mornings and linger throughout the day. As we age, our bodies undergo subtle yet profound changes, becoming increasingly vulnerable to inflammation, a silent driver of many chronic ailments. What might have been a harmless treat in our younger years can transform into a hidden trigger as the decades pile on. Processed cheeses, in particular, the kind often found in convenient slices, shredded bags, or oozing over diner-style breakfast platters, are far from the simple dairy of old. These modern iterations are packed with a cocktail of inflammatory culprits. High levels of saturated fats, artificial additives like emulsifiers and preservatives, and a milk protein known as casein. For people over 60, whose gut health and immune responses are often already compromised, these ingredients can act like tiny sparks, igniting a slow-burning fire of inflammation that spreads through the body, settling into the joints and muscles, especially in the lower body, where mobility is already a precious commodity. The science behind this is as fascinating as it is frustrating. Casein, for instance, is a complex protein that some aging digestive systems struggle to fully break down. When undigested fragments slip through a weakened gut lining, a condition known as leaky gut, which becomes more common with age, they can enter the bloodstream and provoke an immune response. This response doesn't always announce itself with dramatic flair. Instead, it simmers quietly, manifesting as swelling in the knees, a dull ache in the calves, or a stubborn tightness in the ankles. Add to that the saturated fats in cheese, which can increase the production of pro-inflammatory compounds called cytokines, and you've got a recipe for discomfort that creeps up hours after a meal or greets you like an unwelcome guest when you roll out of bed. Now, pair that cheese with eggs, another dense, nutrient-rich food that, while wholesome in moderation, can tip the scales when combined with dairy's heaviness. Together, they form a meal that's not just rich in flavor but also demands on your digestive system. With age, the stomach's production of digestive enzymes and acids wanes, and the intestines lose some of their youthful efficiency. What once moved through with ease now lingers, fermenting and taxing an already sluggish system. This slow digestion doesn't just leave you feeling bloated or lethargic, it sends ripples of distress outward, amplifying that inflammatory cascade. The result? joints that creak like old floorboards, muscles that protest with every step, and a lower body that feels less like a reliable foundation and more like a fragile structure teetering under strain. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a thief of freedom. When every movement comes with a twinge or a wince, the simple joys of life start to slip away. Walking to the mailbox becomes a calculated effort, gardening feels like a distant memory, and even standing long enough to cook a meal can seem like a Herculean task. Over time, this persistent discomfort erodes not just physical ability but confidence and independence, cornerstones of a fulfilling later life. What's perhaps most poignant is how insidious the source can be. A slice of processed cheddar or a dollop of melted mozzarella, masquerading as a harmless comfort on your breakfast plate, might be the very thing chipping away at your vitality. And yet, cheese isn't the only deceptively innocent player in this story. As we'll soon explore, even some vegetables, those pillars of health we've been taught to revere, can harbor compounds that quietly fuel joint pain and stiffness, adding another layer of complexity to the quest for relief. The breakfast table, it seems, is a battleground where comfort and consequence collide, and understanding the hidden culprits is the first step toward reclaiming the ease and energy you deserve. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 4. Nightshade vegetables, tomatoes, peppers, potatoes. For most of our lives, we've been fed the comforting mantra that vegetables are the cornerstone of good health, an unshakable truth passed down from generation to generation. Carrots for eyesight, spinach for strength, and broccoli for vitality. In many ways, this wisdom holds. Vegetables are packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber that nourish the body and fend off disease. But as we age, especially when our bodies begin to creak and groan under the weight of years, not all vegetables remain the benevolent allies we once thought them to be. For aging bodies, particularly those wrestling with joint stiffness, arthritis, or mysterious aches that seem to settle into the bones, not all greens and vibrant produce are created equal. Enter the nightshades, a family of seemingly innocent, colorful foods that grace our plates daily. Tomatoes, bell peppers, white potatoes, eggplants, and even the occasional dash of spicy chili. These nightshade vegetables are dietary staples for many, celebrated for their versatility and flavor. Picture a hearty breakfast, a fluffy omelet studded with diced tomatoes and sautéed bell peppers, a side of crispy roasted potatoes, and maybe even a slice of eggplant tucked into a morning frittata. They're the kind of foods that feel wholesome, the kind you'd proudly serve to your family or enjoy without a second thought. But beneath their appetizing exteriors lies a hidden catch, one that can turn these culinary darlings into silent saboteurs for older adults, especially those whose joints are already crying out in protest. The culprit? A naturally occurring chemical compound called solanine, along with other alkaloids found in nightshades. Solanine isn't some artificial additive or modern invention. It's a defense mechanism these plants evolved to ward off pests in the wild. In small amounts, it's harmless to most people, easily processed and excreted by a youthful, robust metabolism. But as we age, our body systems, particularly the kidneys and liver, our trusty filters, begin to slow down. They're not as quick to flush out these compounds as they once were, especially if there's already underlying damage or a decline in organ function. For some individuals, this slowdown allows solanine to linger in the system, accumulating in soft tissues like muscles, tendons, and the delicate linings of joints. What happens next is a cascade of trouble, particularly for those with a sensitivity to nightshades, a sensitivity that often goes unnoticed until the damage is done. Solanine can interfere with nerve signaling, throwing off the delicate balance of communication between muscles and joints. Worse yet, it's been linked to increased inflammation, that insidious process that amplifies pain and stiffness as we age. Imagine the scene. You wake up in the morning, expecting to feel refreshed, but instead your legs feel like they're encased in lead, your knees refuse to bend without protest, and your feet throb with a tender, burning ache that wasn't there the night before. You chalk it up to getting old, or maybe a restless night, but the Rayol trigger might be sitting on your breakfast plate from the day before. Those juicy tomatoes, that handful of roasted potatoes, or the colorful peppers you tossed into your meal with the best intentions. The symptoms can be deceptively subtle at first, creeping in over months or even years. You might notice stiffness that lingers longer in the mornings, a swelling in your joints that you attribute to weather changes, or a nagging discomfort that mimics arthritis or even nerve damage. For some, it's a burning sensation that radiates through the legs and feet, leaving them wondering why their mobility seems to slip away with each passing day. What's particularly cruel is how these effects can masquerade as inevitable aging, leaving many older adults resigned to their pain rather than questioning its source. And here's the kicker. Nightshades often share the plate with other breakfast favorites, like eggs, in what seems like a match made in nutritional heaven. Eggs, lauded for their protein and healthy fats, pair so naturally with a sprinkle of diced tomatoes or a side of hash browns. For most, it's a balanced, satisfying meal, a golden yolk mingling with the bright reds and greens of nightshade veggies. But for those with a sensitivity, this combination can become a perfect storm of dietary distress. The body, already grappling with age-related inflammation, think creaky joints, worn cartilage, and an immune system that's a little too eager to overreact, gets hit with a double whammy. The solanine from nightshades piles onto existing inflammation, overwhelming the system and turning what should be a nourishing meal into a slow-building trigger for chronic pain. The disconnect is heartbreaking. You might not think to link the ache in your legs that flares up by evening to the modest serving of tomatoes you enjoyed at breakfast, or the tightness in your knees to the potatoes you savored the night before. The cause and effect is delayed, subtle, and insidious. Your body knows the truth, even if your mind hasn't caught up. If you've been battling unexplained joint pain, stiffness, or swelling despite your best efforts to eat healthy, it might be time to cast a suspicious eye on your vegetable lineup. Nightshades could be the stealthy culprits hiding in plain sight, masquerading as friends while quietly stirring up trouble in your aging joints. But the story doesn't end with nightshades. They're not the only hidden dangers lurking on your plate. Sometimes, it's the sweet companions we add to our meals, the dollop of jelly on your toast, the glass of fruit juice you sip to wash it all down, that amplify the harm in ways you'd never suspect. These sugary additions, often seen as harmless indulgences or even healthy choices, can team up with nightshades to create a 1-2 punch of inflammation and discomfort. The truth behind these breakfast staples might surprise you, and it's worth digging deeper to uncover what's fueling your pain. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 4 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 5. Sugar, jam, jelly, ketchup, or sweetened drinks. There's an undeniable charm in the small, sweet rituals of breakfast, a smear of strawberry jam glistening on a warm slice of toast, a dollop of ketchup adding a tangy kick to scrambled eggs, or the refreshing sip of orange juice poured into a familiar glass at the kitchen table. These are the flavors of comfort, woven into mornings with a sense of nostalgia and simplicity. For many, they feel like tiny rewards, well-earned indulgences after decades of labor, sacrifice, and discipline. On the surface, they seem harmless, a modest teaspoon here, a splash there, hardly the stuff of dietary villainy. But for aging bodies, these seemingly innocent additions carry a hidden cost, one that creeps up slowly and manifests not just in abstract numbers like blood sugar readings, but in tangible, physical suffering, particularly in the legs and joints. As we grow older, our bodies undergo a quiet but profound shift in how they handle sugar. What was once a manageable treat in youth becomes a formidable challenge in later years. The pancreas, that tireless gland responsible for producing insulin, begins to falter with age, its efficiency waning. At the same time, cells grow less responsive to insulin signals, a condition known as insulin resistance, leaving excess glucose to linger in the bloodstream longer than it should. This isn't just a problem for those with diagnosed diabetes. Even in healthy seniors, the body's sugar tolerance declines, turning what feels like a small pleasure into a powerful trigger for widespread inflammation and nerve irritation. When sugar, whether from a sweetened drink, a fruity jelly, or even the sneaky grams hiding in ketchup, enters the bloodstream, it sets off a chain reaction. Glucose levels spike, prompting a surge of insulin to shuttle the sugar into cells for energy. But in an aging system, this process is sluggish and imperfect. The excess sugar doesn't just vanish, it lingers, wreaking havoc on delicate tissues. One of the most insidious effects is inflammation, a low-grade fire that smolders in the joints, blood vessels, and nerves. Over time, this inflammation compounds into a process called glycation, where sugar molecules bond with proteins in the body, forming sticky, destructive compounds known as advanced glycation end products, AGEs. These AGEs are anything but benign. They stiffen connective tissues, erode the cushioning cartilage in joints, and impair blood flow, particularly to the lower extremities like the legs and feet. The consequences aren't always obvious at first. You might not draw a straight line between the teaspoon of jelly you savored at breakfast and the faint tingling in your toes later that afternoon, or the burning sensation that flares up in your calves after a short walk. The stiffness in your knees, the ache that lingers in your hips, these could easily be dismissed as just aging. But the body keeps a meticulous score, and sugar's toll becomes harder to ignore. For seniors, especially those with diabetes, prediabetes, or already compromised circulation, sugar transforms from a sweet companion into a silent aggressor. It undermines the body's ability to heal itself, weakens the immune system's defenses, and slows recovery from even the smallest injuries or strains. A minor ache can fester into persistent discomfort, and what starts as a subtle annoyance can spiral into chronic pain that chips away at mobility and independence. The stakes are higher than most realize. That glass of sweetened iced tea or the jam-laden biscuit doesn't just nudge your blood sugar up for an hour. It sets off a domino effect that threatens the very freedom to move through life unencumbered. The legs, so vital for standing, walking, and living on one's terms, bear the brunt of this damage. Poor circulation starves tissues of oxygen and nutrients, nerves become hypersensitive or numb, and joints grind down under the weight of inflammation and glycation. What begins as a fleeting indulgence can end in a wheelchair or a cane, outcomes few associate with something as innocuous as a flavored beverage or a condiment. And yet, sugar isn't the only covert threat lurking in your morning meal. As you reach for alternatives to make your diet healthier, you might be inviting even greater harm. That butter substitute you've swapped in for the real thing, touted as heart-friendly and low in saturated fat, could be silently sabotaging your body in ways you'd never suspect. Laden with processed oils, trans fats, or inflammatory additives, these modern marvels of food engineering might be doing far more damage than the sugar itself, turning a well-intentioned choice into a hidden hazard that compounds the pain and stiffness you're already fighting. The breakfast table, it turns out, is a minefield of good intentions gone awry, where even the smallest decisions can carry outsized consequences for an aging body. 6. Margarine or artificial butter substitutes. For decades, margarine and artificial butter substitutes were marketed as the enlightened choice, a modern antidote to the supposed evils of butter. Picture the scene: breakfast tables across the nation in the 1970s and 80s, where well-meaning seniors swapped out their creamy, golden butter for tubs of slick, factory-made spreads, convinced they were safeguarding their hearts and their futures. It was a promise wrapped in science, or so it seemed, a beacon of progress in an era when cholesterol became public enemy number one. Many of us, with the best intentions, trusted the brightly colored packaging and the reassuring ads, believing we were making a wise, health-conscious shift. But now, as the years have unfolded and research has peeled back the layers, the truth has emerged, stark and unsettling. Far from being a benign alternative, margarine, especially the kinds loaded with hydrogenated oils and trans fats, may well be one of the most insidious threats lurking on your breakfast plate, particularly when paired with something as innocent as a plate of scrambled eggs. Aging changes us in ways we don't always see coming. Our cells grow more fragile, like delicate glass weathered by time, our joints stiffen, creaking under the weight of years, and our bodies become exquisitely sensitive to the fats we consume. Margarine isn't just a substitute, it's a chemical creation, born in industrial vats where oils are bombarded with hydrogen to extend shelf life and mimic butter's texture. This process spawns trans fats, unnatural compounds so harmful that many countries, from the United States to the European Union, have outright banned them in recent years. These fats don't just sit idly in your system. They wreak havoc, disrupting your body's ability to manage inflammation, hardening arteries like rust in old pipes, and blocking the absorption of nutrients vital to keeping you strong. Now imagine this. You spread margarine on your morning toast or melt it in a pan to fry your eggs. The heat transforms these already problematic fats into something even more sinister, unleashing a cascade of oxidative stress, a silent storm of molecular damage that tears at the collagen in your joints, narrows the blood vessels feeding your legs, and accelerates the wear and tear of aging. For seniors, the consequences can be profound and painfully tangible. Numbness creeping into the feet like a cold shadow, a dull ache throbbing in the calves after a short walk, knees that protest every step, or sudden cramps that jolt you awake at night. Too often, these symptoms are dismissed as inevitable souvenirs of age or chalked up to poor circulation. But the real villain might be hiding in plain sight, smeared across your breakfast, or sizzling in the skillet. The damage doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It's a slow, insidious creep. Decades of quiet accumulation can leave you wondering why your body feels so betrayed, and why your mobility is slipping away. This isn't just about cholesterol anymore, a narrow metric from a bygone dietary era. It's about inflammation, that smoldering fire that fuels so many chronic woes. It's about preserving the strength to climb stairs without wincing, the freedom to stroll through a park without fatigue, and the independence to live life on your terms. And as the truth about margarine comes into focus, a question looms. How can you still savor the comfort of eggs, those warm, familiar orbs of nourishment, without inviting this hidden enemy to the table? Let's step back and widen the lens. What can you do instead? How can you reclaim your breakfast as a source of strength rather than a silent saboteur? The good news is that smarter, safer choices are within reach, waiting to transform your mornings into a foundation for vitality and long-term freedom. Let's explore that path together. 7. Why these combinations are dangerous for seniors. Aging teaches us a subtle, humbling lesson. Not all harm comes with a flashing red warning. Some of the most devastating blows to our health strike quietly, building over decades, woven into the fabric of habits we scarcely question. Take those breakfasts we've cherished for years. Eggs nestled alongside crispy bacon, golden toast slathered with margarine, a dollop of cheese melting into the mix, or even a sweet smear of jam to brighten the plate. These combinations feel like old friends, steeped in nostalgia and comfort. But for seniors, they can be treacherous allies, opening the door to a deep, persistent kind of damage: chronic inflammation. And once inflammation takes root, it becomes the unseen architect of so many struggles. Aching legs that falter mid-step, swollen joints that groan with every bend, stiffness that greets you like an unwelcome guest each morning, and over time, the erosion of mobility and independence that once felt unshakable. What makes these pairings so perilous isn't just the ingredients alone. It's how they conspire within a body transformed by age. Our metabolism slows to a cautious crawl, no longer the roaring engine of youth. Our digestive system grows finicky, less forgiving of excess. Our ability to process sugars, fats, and artificial additives weakens, like a filter clogged with time. A meal that might have been a fleeting indulgence in our 40s, a hearty plate of eggs, bacon, and buttered toast, can now, in our 70s or 80s, ignite a chain reaction of pain that lingers for days. Together, these foods spark a chemical tempest. Blood sugar spikes, uric acid surges, and inflammatory agents flood the bloodstream, attacking joints, soft tissues, and even the nerves that keep us steady. Picture the scene inside your body. The processed fats from margarine stiffen arterial walls, while the sodium and nitrates in bacon strain your heart and kidneys. The refined carbs in toast send glucose soaring, taxing an aging pancreas, and the rich cheese or sugary jam adds fuel to the inflammatory fire. For a younger body, this might be a temporary burden, shrugged off by morning. But for seniors, the storm lingers, settling into knees that throb with every step, hips that ache when you sit too long, or feet that tingle with a restless unease. The most heartbreaking part? Many don't connect the dots. They blame the stiffness on old age, the swelling on the weather, the fatigue on a restless night, unaware that the breakfast they've trusted for decades is rewriting their body's story, bite by bite. Yet here's the silver lining. This isn't a life sentence. You hold more power than you might realize. Those same meals that once sowed pain can be reshaped into sources of healing with a few intentional tweaks. You don't have to abandon eggs or the ritual of a warm breakfast. You just need to rethink their companions. Knowledge is your ally here, and small shifts can yield big rewards. Imagine mornings where your plate lifts you instead of weighing you down, where each bite fuels resilience rather than regret. That's where the real power begins. One choice, one meal at a time. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 8. What should seniors eat with eggs instead? Eggs are a timeless treasure. There's something almost sacred about their simplicity, a humble oval that cracks open to reveal nourishment as old as humanity itself. For seniors, they remain a nutritional cornerstone, packed with high-quality protein to bolster thinning muscles, rich in choline to sharpen a fading memory, and gentle enough for a digestive system that's grown weary with age. They're a quiet anchor in a world that's always shifting, a reminder of countless mornings past. But to unlock their full potential in your later years, it's not just about how you cook them, it's about the company they keep on your plate. The right pairings can tame inflammation, soothe aching joints, and sustain the mobility that keeps you dancing, gardening, or simply stepping out to greet the day. So, let's reimagine your breakfast. Instead of leaning on processed meats like bacon or sausage, laden with salt, nitrates, and inflammatory fats, turn to nature's palate. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, or arugula, lightly sautéed in a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, bring a burst of anti-inflammatory antioxidants and minerals that strengthen bones without taxing your system. Their earthy bitterness balances the richness of eggs, a harmony of flavor and function. Avocado, with its velvety texture, steps in for processed cheese, delivering heart-healthy monounsaturated fats that lubricate joints and lower cholesterol. No trans fats or artificial additives in sight. If you crave a carbohydrate to round out the meal, skip the white toast or bagel, which crumble into sugar in your bloodstream. Instead, try roasted sweet potatoes, their natural sweetness tempered by fiber that steadies blood sugar, or quinoa, a nutty, protein-rich grain that fuels you without the inflammatory fallout of refined flour. How you cook your eggs matters too. Opt for steaming or poaching to preserve their nutrients, or lightly pan-fry them in olive oil or coconut oil, both stable fats that resist breaking down into harmful compounds under heat. Leave the margarine and artificial spreads behind. They have no place here. The guiding principle is simple. Keep it close to the earth, whole, natural, unprocessed. These aren't sacrifices, they're upgrades, subtle shifts that honor your body's needs without dimming the joy of eating. You're not giving up taste. You're trading fleeting comfort for lasting vitality. Your legs, your hips, your knees, they've carried you this far, and they deserve more than a side of bacon or a sugary jam. Food can harm, yes, but it can also heal. A breakfast built with intention becomes an investment, in fewer aches, in steadier steps, in mornings that feel lighter and more alive. At this stage of life, every choice carries weight. Every step, every breath, every bite shapes the days ahead more than ever before. Food isn't just sustenance, it's a dialogue, a message you send to your body with every meal. It can whisper renewal or roar with inflammation. For too long, combinations like eggs with bacon, toast, cheese, or sweet condiments have spoken a language of stiffness and fatigue to the joints and limbs that carry us forward. But I've learned, through the long lens of experience, that comfort can be a trickster. I too once thought familiarity equaled safety, until my body taught me otherwise. Now, I see each meal as a bridge between yesterday and tomorrow, a chance to honor where I've been while shaping where I'm headed. Wiser choices at the table have meant fewer pills to swallow, and fewer mornings wondering why my knees ache or my feet feel heavy. If you've been wrestling with unexplained pain, swollen joints, tingling toes, a sluggishness that feels unfair, I urge you to look at your breakfast not as a ritual to endure, but as a key to unlock something better. Eggs can still be your ally, a steadfast friend, but only if you choose their companions with care. Your body is always listening, always responding, and eager for a new script. It's never too late to let your food fight for you instead of against you. Let your breakfast become a quiet rebellion against pain, a promise to your hips, your knees, and your feet that you're still in the game, still choosing life, mobility, and freedom. At 60, 70, 80, or beyond, your plate holds more power than you know. And so do you. Well, there you have it. A deeper look at how the foods we pair with eggs can either support our health or quietly work against it, especially as we age. We've covered the 6 surprising combinations to avoid and shared smarter, tastier ways to enjoy your breakfast without inviting inflammation or pain into your day. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned so far that stuck with you? Take a moment to reflect and share in the comments below one thing you've learned and plan to bring into practice in your own life. Let's inspire and support each other on this journey to better health. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tips to live your best life. Thanks for watching, and here's to thriving at every age.